station. And here we love all things NASA Stennis Space Center. They're always up to some cool and good things. I don't know if they're sending any squirrels to space, but maybe we can ask somebody that would know. We've got Bradley Tyree. He is a NASA Stennis Test Conductor and Engineer, and he was not geared up to probably talk about squirrels. But hey, Bradley.
Hey, Rebecca, how's it going?
By any chance, were you listening before you hopped on with us right now?
I caught the commercial break right before I joined.
So we were talking about our changing our favorite 80s music with the word girl with squirrels. So we've been having a lot of fun with that. And so it just led right into squirrels going to space conversation now. So I didn't want you to think we were totally crazy around here. But you guys had a really busy day yesterday. Y'all tested the RS-25 engine like you have done before, or gearing up for the big, I guess, launch or whatever it may be. And so this is a big deal. So what's it like the day after? You guys sort of calm down, or are you still busy as bees?
Oh, no. So it's been a really busy couple of weeks. And like you said, yesterday we tested the RS-25 this is the 8th test in our 13-test certification series. And the day after feels much like the day of. There's lots of data review that happens. And of course, on test day, some things tend to break. And so you got to fix those things that are, presented themselves on test day. So no, there's no slowing down. We've still got a really busy next few days to get ready for the weekend.
All right, Bradley, let's catch everybody up on the RS-25 engine. What is its importance and significance there, and Stennis's sort of responsibility with it there at the Space Center?
Sure. So the RS-25 engine, there are 4 RS-25s that power the Space Launch System. I'm not sure if you got a chance to catch the launch last year, but we had a really successful launch, and so we're continuing to test the RS-25s to continue the SLS mission for Artemis. So we've got several more Artemis missions planned to eventually get us back to the moon.
Which is super cool to think that, we can always put a squirrel in there. Maybe that's how we get a squirrel space. I'm going to bring it back around to that. But no, okay, so you have a cool job, Bradley. You are a test conductor. I mean, I know that's probably 5 pages of what your job description actually is, but how do you explain to people what you do there at Stennis?
Sure. So yesterday I actually was the test conductor for yesterday's test. So the test conductor is the person in the seat that gets to hit the button that turns the engine on.
Yes.
So it's a pretty big job. You've got to coordinate through, dozens of different teams of people, and you've got all these operations happening on the stand, and you've got engine folks, and you've got data folks. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a lot of responsibility. It's very nerve-wracking. It's very stressful, but at the same time, it's really rewarding. I can't. It's hard to put into words. It's you get the adrenaline rush and you get the goosebumps all day. It's a lot of fun.
There really is just one button. Is it red, Bradley? Is there just one red button?
I have to tell you that it is red until you press it, and then it's green.
I love that. You're just bringing all of my fantasies to life here with being able just to push the button and then, control all of that. But there's got to be a lot of pressure with that. So how do you handle that? How do you stay calm, cool, collected? Because, I'm making light of it, but it's a big deal to be able to control all of that. So how are you trained in that?
Oh, it's months and months of training and paperwork. And, it's a lot like studying for finals in school, so you spend a few days going over everything and going over every scenario in your head, like, oh, if this happens, this is how I'm going to respond. And if this person needs to do this at this time, this is what I'm going to tell them. So I guess it's a lot like that. It's a lot like preparing and sleepless nights and tossing and turning. It's a lot of adrenaline, and it's just a lot of responsibility and a lot of stress.
Well, you make it sound like it's a great job, but it sounds like a lot of fun. How did you even get into this track, like on this track, to be able to be a test conductor there at NASA? I feel like, I just went in the wrong route in life. I should have been something to do with space as much as I enjoy it, maybe in my next lifetime. But how did you find yourself on the life track for being a professional there at Stennis Space Center?
I hate to say pure luck, but that's how it feels. I graduated school and I was actually interested in airplanes throughout school. I graduated from Mississippi State with a bachelor's in aerospace engineering, and I was fascinated by airplanes, but there happened to be a job opening here at Stennis Space Center in the mechanical test ops group. over at E-Complex, which was working on some private industry rocket engine testing, and I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. Let me go check that out. So I applied, and I got the job, and I started working, and from there, I started to see all the different roles that go into play for testing the engines, and I was like fascinated by the test conductor role and the transfer engineers, and I was like, whatever I have to do to get into that seat, I'm going to do it. So I put it to I put my mind to it and just started working, studying and becoming familiar with all the processes and trying to be the best I could be, learning all that I could.
And you had a great role model because you're not the only one in your family tree that has worked there. Tell us about your grandfather.
That's correct. So my great-grandfather, Sidney Best, he worked at Stennis Space Center in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, working on the B stand as a mechanic working on the space shuttle main engine. And I've got lots of pictures of him, working on the engines, and I've actually worked with some folks out here that were around when he was around, and that's really crazy to think about, how much history and how much knowledge is in the staff out here at Stennis Space Center. It's really impressive, and it's cool to work with people that, knew my great-grandfather those years ago. So, yeah, so I've got some family history out here.
That's pretty cool. And so I guess for the parents listening who have kids or grandkids who are interested in STEM and all things sort of mathematics, I guess there is a scenario that you actually use calculus after you graduate college or high school.
Sorry to tell the kids of those parents, but yeah, you actually get to use it.
What about algebra?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of that. You actually have to use it. Sorry to tell you. Sorry to burst your bubble. Like lots of people say, oh, you'll never use this after school. That's just not true, unfortunately. I was looking forward to it.
So for those parents that may have kids that are very interested, like I feel like what you do is super cool, and more kids need to know about these opportunities that are right here in Mississippi or where STEM can take them. Like you think about, being able to work for NASA. It's not something that's achievable or attainable, but it is. And there's lots of open door opportunities that, within there, not just test conductor or pilot or whatever. How would you encourage them to just learn more about the opportunities in STEM?
Oh, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is to try and realize what's around you. Like, I was born in Picayune, which is just a few miles away from Stennis Space Center, and with the exception of having my great-grandfather work out here, I wasn't really tuned in to all the different work that was going on out here. So I think it's important for, kids interested in STEM coming up that there's so much that's applicable that you may not realize. So get out there, get on Google, do some research. I promise there's something probably a lot closer than you think. You don't have to travel really far to kind of accomplish those goals.
So how many more tests are you guys going to do on the RS-25 engine before the main mission, or is that like a hard question to even answer?
Well, we're always testing different parameters and trying to meet different objectives. So, for this specific certification test series, we've got 5 more tests planned, and then we'll swap out and start testing another RS-25 engine with maybe some different hardware and try some different test requirements. And we'll be continuing to test that for the next few years at least. We've got several years of tests planned.
Do they know is there like a date or a year that's projected for the big launch, like for the actual mission to the moon or Mars or wherever it is?
I think they've changed the date a little bit just based on, of course, launch data that we get back, and we're going to change objectives and change planned dates. So I don't think I can't give you anything concrete right now.
No, that's fine. So what you're telling me is there's still time we can get a squirrel on there. We can
maybe a whole team of squirrels.
That would be amazing. Oh, I'm sorry you walked into that conversation, Bradley, but I do truly appreciate your time. Is there anywhere people can go if they want more information on what you guys are doing there at Stennis or all things RS-25 engine?
Oh, Facebook, Twitter, NASA Stennis Space Center is all over most social media, so I'm sure you can find plenty of things out there.
Has anybody ever told you, Bradley, that you look like Goose from the new Top Gun Maverick in your photo?
No, they haven't, but I am taking that as a huge compliment.
It's the first thing I thought of when I saw your photo. I was like, oh, he could be in Goose's family tree.
That is awesome. Thank you.
All righty. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything y'all are doing there at Stennis. And so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It was a pleasure.
All right. You guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.